Chapter 5 Sai Satcharitra. In this chapter, we'll see Baba's return with Chand Patel's marriage party, welcomed and addressed as Sai, contact with other saints, his satire and daily routine, the story of the Padakas, wrestling bout of Mohdin and change in life, turning water into oil, the pseudo-guru Jawahari. Return with Chand Patel's marriage party. As hinted in the last chapter, I shall now describe first how Sai Baba returned to Shirdi after his disappearance. There lived in the Aurangabad district, Nizam state, in a village called Dhoop, a well-to-do Mohammedan gentleman by name Chand Patel. While he was making a trip to Aurangabad, he lost his mare. For 2 long months he made a diligent search but could get no trace of the lost mare. After being disappointed, he returned from Aurangabad with a saddle on his back. After travelling 4 kos and a half, he came on the way to a mango tree, at the foot on which sat a fakir. He had a cap on his head, wore kafni and had a satka under his arm. He was preparing to smoke chillam. On seeing Chand Patel pass by, he called out to him and asked him to have a smoke and to rest a little. The queer fellow or fakir asked him about the saddle. Chand Patel replied that it was of his mare, which was lost some time back. The fakir asked him to make a search in the nala close by. He went, and the wonder of wonders, he found the mare there. He thought that this fakir was not an ordinary man, but an awaliya. He returned to the fakir with the mare. The chillam was ready for being smoked, but the 2 things were wanting: the fire to light the pipe, water to wet the chapi, through which smoke is drawn up. The fakir took his prong and thrust it forcefully into the ground. Out came a live ember, which he put on the pipe. Then he dashed the sataka on the ground, from where water began to ooze. The chapi was wetted with the water, then wrung out and wrapped round the pipe. Everything being complete, fakir smoked the chillam and then gave it also to Chand Patel. On seeing all this, Chand Patel was wonderstruck. He requested the fakir to come to his home and accept his hospitality. Next day, he went to Patel's house and stayed there for some time. Patel was a village officer of Dhoop. His wife's brother's son was to be married, and the bride was from Shirdi. So Patel made preparation to start for Shirdi for the marriage. The fakir also accompanied the marriage party. The marriage went off without any hitch. The party returned to the Dhoop except the fakir, who stayed back in Shirdi and remained there forever. Let us see how the fakir got the name Sai. When the marriage party came to Shirdi, it alighted at the foot of the banyan tree in Bhagat Malaspati's field near Khandoba temple. The carts were loosened in the open courtyard of Khandoba temple, and the members of the party descended one by one, and the fakir also got down. Bhagat Malaspati saw the young fakir getting down and accosted him, "Ya Sai, welcome Sai." Others also addressed him as Sai, and thenceforth he became Sai Baba. Let us see Baba's contact with other saints. Sai Baba began to stay in a deserted masjid. One saint named Devidas had been living in Shirdi for many years before Baba came there. Baba liked his company. He stayed with him in the Maruti temple in the Chowdi and for some time lived alone. Then came another saint by name Janki Das. Baba spent half his time in talking with him, or Janki Das went to Baba's residence. So also one Vaishya householder saint from Puntambe by name Gangagir always frequented Shirdi. Blessed is Shirdi that it got this precious jewel. This man is carrying water today, but he is not an ordinary fellow. As this land, Shirdi, was fortunate and meritorious, it secured this jewel. So also one famous saint by name Anandanath of Yavalamat, a disciple of Akalkot Maharaj, came to Shirdi with some people. When he saw Sai Baba, he said openly, "This is precious diamond in reality. Though he looked like an ordinary man, he is not a gar, but he is a diamond. You will realize this in the near future." Saying this, he returned to Yala. This was said while Sai Baba was a youngster. Let us see how Baba dressed and his daily routine. In his younger days, Sai Baba grew the hair on his head, never had his head shaved. He dressed like an athlete. When he went to Rata, 3 miles from Shirdi, he bought with him small plants of marigold, J and G, and after cleaning them, he planted and watered them. A devotee by name Vaman Tatya supplied him daily with 2 unbaked earthen pitchers. With this, Baba himself used to water the plant, and he drew water from the well and carried the pitchers on his shoulder. In the evening, the pitchers were kept on the foot of the neem tree. As soon as they were placed there, they broke as they were made of mud and not baked. This course went on for 3 years, and with Sai Baba's toil and effort, there grew a garden. On this site at present stands a big mansion, Samadhi Mandir of Baba, which is now frequented by so many devotees. Let us discuss the story of the Padakas under the neem tree. A devotee of Akalkot Maharaj by name Bhai Krishnaji Alibakar worshipped the foot of Akalkot Maharaj. He once thought of going to Akalkot, take the darshan of the Padakas of the Maharaj and offer his sincere prayers there. But before he could go there, he got a vision in his dream. Akalkot Maharaj appeared in his vision and said to him, "Now Shirdi is my resting place. Go there and offer your worship." So Bhai changed his plan and came to Shirdi, worshipped Baba, stayed there for 6 months and was happy. As a reminiscence of this vision, he prepared the Padakas and installed them on the auspicious day of this Shravan Shaka 1834, that is 1912 AD, under the neem tree with due ceremonies and formalities conducted by Dada Kelkar and Upasini Maharaj. One Dikshit Brahmin was appointed for worship, and the management was entrusted to devotee Sagun. Let us see the complete version of this story. Mr. B.V. Dev, retired Mamaltar of Thana, a great devotee of Sai Baba, made inquiry about this matter with Saguna Mira Naik and Govind Kamlakar Dikshit, and has published a full version of the Padakas in Sai Leela Volume 2, Number 1, page 25. It runs as follows. In 1834 Shaka, 1912 AD, one Dr. Ramarao Kotare of Mumbai came to Shirdi for Baba's darshan. His compounder and his friend Krishnaraj Ali Bakar accompanied him. The compounder and Krishnaraj Ali Bakar became intimate with Saguna Mira Naik and G.K. Dikshit. While discussing things, these persons thought that there must be some memorial of Sai Baba's first advent at Shirdi and his sitting under the holy neem tree. They thought of installing Baba's Padakas there and were going to make them of some rough stone. Then Bhai's friend and the compounder suggested that if the matter was made known to his master, Dr. Ramarao Kotare, he would prepare nice Padakas for this purpose. All liked this proposal, and Dr. Kotare was informed of it. He came to Shirdi and drew a plan of Padakas. He went to Upasani Maharaj in Khandoba temple and showed him his plan. The latter made many improvements, drew lotus, flower, conch, disc, maize, etc., and suggested that following shloka verse regarding neem tree's greatness and Baba's yogic power be inscribed. The verse was as follows. Sada nimba vrikshasya मूलादिवासा सुदाशाविणं तिक्तमप्यप्रियन्तं तरुणकल्पवृक्षादिकं साधयन्तं नमामीश्वरं सद्गुरुं साईनाथम्. Upasini Maharaj's suggestions were accepted and carried out. The Padakas were made in Mumbai and sent to Shirdi with the compounder. Baba said that they should be installed on the Purnima 15th of Shravan. On that day at 11 am, G.K. Dikshit brought them on his head from Khandoba temple to the Dwarka Mai Masjid in the procession. Baba touched the Padukas, saying that these are the feet of the Lord, and asked the people to install them at the foot of the neem tree. A day earlier, one Parsi devotee of Mumbai named Pasta Sheikh sent rupees 25 by money order. Baba gave this sum for the installation of the Padukas. The total expenses of installation came up to rupees 100, out of which rupees 75 were collected by subscriptions. For the first 5 years, G.K. Dikshit worshipped the Padukas daily, and then this was done by Lakshman Kacheshwar Jakade. In the first 5 years, Dr. Kotare sent rupees 2 per month for lighting the lamp, and he also sent the railing round the Padukas. The expenses of bringing the railing from the station to Shirdi, rupees 780, that is presently 7 rupees 50 paisa, and roofing was paid by Saguna Meera Naik. Now Jakade, Nana Pujari does the worship, and Saguna Meera Naik offers the Naivedya and lights the evening lamp. Bhai Krishnaji was original devotee of Akalkot Maharaj. He had come to Shirdi at the installation of the Padukas in Shaka 1834 on his way to Akalkot. He wanted to go to Akalkot. After taking the darshan of Baba, he asked Baba's permission for this. Baba said, "Oh, what is there in Akalkot? Why do you go there? The Maharaj of that place is here, myself." Hearing this, Bhai did not go to Akalkot. He came to Shirdi off and on after the installation of the Padukas. Mr. B.V. Dev concluded that Hemad Pant did not know this detail. Had he known them, he would not have failed to depict them in his Satcharitra. Let us see wrestling bout with Mohammadin Tamboli and change in lifestyle. To return to the other stories of Baba, there was a wrestler in Shirdi by name Mohammadin Tamboli. Baba and he did not agree on some points. Both had a fight. In this, Baba was defeated. Thenceforth, Baba changed his dress and mode of living. He donned kafni, wore a langot, and covered his head with a piece of cloth. He took a piece of sackcloth for his bed and was content with wearing torn and worn out rags. He always said that poverty is better than the kinship, far better than the lordship. The Lord is always brother of the poor. Gangagir was also very fond of wrestling. Once, while he was wrestling, a similar feeling of dispassion descended over him, and at the proper time he heard the voice of an adept saying that he should wear out his body playing with the God. So he too gave up sansar and turned towards God realization. He established a mutt on the bank of the river near Punta Bay and lived there with his disciples. Sai Baba did not mix and speak with the people. He only gave answers when he was questioned. By day, he always sat under the neem tree, sometimes in the shade of the bubble tree near the stream on the outskirts of the village. In the afternoon, he used to walk at random and go at times to Neemgaon. There he frequented the house of Bala Sahib Dengle. Baba loved Mr. Dengle, his younger brother named Nana Sahib. Nana Sahib had no son, though he married second wife. Bala Sahib sent Nana Sahib for taking darshan of Sai Baba, and after some time with his grace, Nana Sahib got a son. From that time onwards, people began to come in large numbers to see Sai Baba, and his fame began to spread and reach Ahmednagar. From thence, Nana Sahib Chandorkar, Keshav Chidambar, and many others began to come to Shirdi. Baba was surrounded by his devotee during day and slept at night in an old, dilapidated masjid. Baba's paraphernalia at this time consisted of chillam, tobacco, a tumbril, long kafni, a piece of cloth round his head, and a satka which he always kept with him. The piece of cloth on his head was twisted like a matted hair and flowed down from the left ear on the back. This was not washed for weeks. He wore no shoes, no sandals. A piece of sackcloth was his seat for most of the day. He wore a kopin and for warding of cold he always sat in the front of Duni facing south with his left hand resting on the wooden railing. In that Duni he offered oblation of egoism, desires and always uttered Allah Malik. The masjid in which he sat was only of 2-room dimensions, where all devotees came and saw him. After 1912 there was a change. Old masjid was repaired and a pavement was constructed. Before Baba came to live in this masjid, he lived for a long time in a place called Takia, where Baba used to wear gungru, small bells and tied on his ankles. Baba danced beautifully and sang with tender love. Turning water into oil. Sai Baba was very fond of lights. He used to borrow oil from shopkeepers and keep lamps burning the whole night in the masjid and temple. This went on for some time. The Baniyas who supplied oil, grantees, once met together and decided not to give him oil. When, as usual, Baba went to ask for oil, they all gave him distinct no. Unperturbed, Baba returned to the masjid and kept the dry wicks in the lamps. The Baniyas were watching him with curiosity. Baba took the tamrail, which contained very little oil, put water into it and drank it, and then forced it out to fall into the container. After consecrating the tin pot in this way, he again took the water from the tin pot and filled all the lamps with it and lighted them. To the surprise and dismay of the watching Baniyas, the lamps began to burn and kept burning the whole night. Baniyas repented and apologized, and Baba forgave them and asked them to be more truthful in future. Let us know about the pseudo guru Jawaharlal. 5 years after the wrestling bout above mentioned, one fakir from Ahmednagar by name Jawaharlal came to Rahata with his disciple and stayed in Bakal near Vidarbha temple. The fakir was learned, could repeat the whole Quran and had a sweet tongue. Many religious and devout people of the village came to him and began to respect him. With the help of people, he started to build a Idgah, a wall enclosure in which Mohammedans pray on the Eid day near the Vidarbha temple. There was some quarrel about this affair, on account of which Jawaharlal had to leave the Rahata. Then he came to Shirdi and lived in the masjid with Baba. People were captured by his sweet talk and he began to call Baba his disciple. Baba did not object and consented to be his disciple. They both, Guru and disciple, decided to return to Rahata and live there. The Guru never knew the disciple's worth, but the disciple knew the shortcoming of the Guru. Still, he never disrespected him, observing carefully his duties. He even served the master in various ways. They used to come to Shirdi off and on, but their mainstay was in Rahata. The loving devotees of Baba in Shirdi did not like that Baba should stay away from them in Rahata. So they went in deputation to bring back Baba to Shirdi. When they met Baba near Idgah and told the purpose for which they came, Baba said to them that the fakir was an angry, ill-tempered fellow. He would not leave him, that they should better go back to Shirdi without him before the fakir returned. While they were thus talking, the fakir turned up and was very angry with them for trying to take away his disciple. There was some hot discussion and altercation, and it was finally decided that both Guru and disciple should return to Shirdi, and so they returned and lived in Shirdi. But after a few days, the Guru was tested by Devi Das and he was found wanting. 12 years before Baba arrived in Shirdi with the marriage party, this Devi Das, aged about 10 or 11 years, came to Shirdi and lived in the Maruti temple. Devi Das had fine features and brilliant eyes, and he was dispassion incarnate and a dhyani. Many people named Tatya Kote, Kashinath and others regarded him as their guru. They bought Jawaharlal in his presence, and in the discussion that followed, Jawar was worsted and fled from Shirdi. He went and stayed in Bijapur and returned after many years to Shirdi and prostrated himself before Sai Baba. The delusion that he was a guru and Baba his disciple was cleared away, and as he repented, Sai Baba treated him with respect. In this case, Baba showed by his conduct how one should get rid of egoism and do the duties of a disciple to attain the highest end, self-realization. This story is told here according to the version given by Malaspati, a great devotee of Baba. In the next chapter, Ramanavami festival, the masjid, its former condition and the later improvement will be described. Bo to Sri Sai, peace be to all.